friend we really don't have that much in common, specifically because she's actually a fictional construct for purposes of this joke. So, a lot of times, because of that, I'm dating, a lot, I'm trying to, and I don't really enjoy dating. I always meet somebody who's in a relationship who's for some reason envious of dating people. For me, dating is just this really weird form of gambling where there's a chance, a small, slight chance that it might end up in an orgasm. It's just, you get to the date, and eventually, somehow you manage to meet someone, you have the date, and then you know how the date goes. It's just like, oh, yes, nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Yes, so me and my girlfriend, sometimes we go, so he was asleep the whole time. See you next Tuesday. All right. And that's basically a date. But my problem has been recently is I'm trying to date really smart women. The problem is, if you date a really smart woman, when they reject you, they just use that intellect to crush you as much as possible. And I would just get, text messages back from some of these women. I was like, oh, I had a nice day with her, and it's like, we're going to see it, and then I get a text. Shawn, on further contemplation, I just don't find you physically attractive. Yes. The other day, while I was deeply meditating on the thought of your naked body, visions more frequently entered my head of Death Valley than of Niagara Falls. Yeah, just going well, same thing. I send this one girl back. We have a nice couple, 2 nice dates, and I'm all set for the third one. I'm thinking the third one's going to be good. I'll go to a movie, and then somehow I'll pull up hands, and I'll give her a kiss, and it's just right. So we're all set, and I'm all set to go for the date, and then she cancels the day before, and it's like, Shawn, I have neither the time nor desire to be in the same place as you again. I mean, that's not what you say to date. That's like when a crooked southern sheriff throws you out of town in some old 70s movie. I have neither the time nor desire to ever see you in Seward County. And if I do, you're ended up 6 feet under. I mean, this is the type of dating situation. So you just have to deal with life, and you can't let it get you down. You got to keep going. You got to relax. One of the ways I like to relax is I read a lot. And one of the things I've always noticed with reading is every now and then the news urges, whenever it comes to a story about some sort of vice, whether it's sex, drugs, or pornography, or just whatever vice they're coming up with, they always have one story where they then show you, hey, this isn't so bad, and here's some people who practice it. It's like, oh, here's some simple potheads, and hey, marijuana cures heart disease, cancer, and hunger. I mean, I've heard that story. And then 3 days later, the same news agency, even the same reporter will put a story. It's like, actually, marijuana gives you permanent brain psychosis, nut job damage. Yes, that's the official technical term. So, one of the ones I've noticed it a lot has been recently is with pornography. And there's always this debate going on. There was a girl at Duke who announced herself as a porn star. She went on all the Huffington Post, and she went on everything. She went on MSNBC, and was announcing herself like I'm a porn star. And so then there's the news stories that of course come on that are basically like, porn isn't dangerous, and they have her in a respective business suit. But then on the same news agency, it's like 3 days later, it's like, the deadly porno addiction. Are you addicted to porno? Here are the possible signs. Upon hearing the initialism, DSL, do you think of something besides your internet connection? Upon hearing POV, do you think of something besides an interesting cinematic angle? And upon hearing the initialism BBC, do you think of something besides the British Broadcasting Corporation? If you answered yes to these questions, you may suffer from porno addiction. I read other things. When I was in Kentucky, they had a big story coming out of Louisville where they breed all the horses. One horse, which was just couldn't be controlled, it broke out of a stable. It attacked the farmer, trampled him, paralyzed the guy. He's in the hospital. And listen, folks, I just hate whenever I have to hear about a story of domesticated violence. But you keep reading. One thing that always annoys me with reading is there's often people who want to come up to declare their ignorance whenever you're just reading a book. You're just, happily reading your book. I get this one time I was reading Brief History of Time, Stephen Hawking. You might read some interesting philosophy, you know, different people, maybe read his works, not much. Reading something like, you know, deep, and somebody comes up to you and it's always just like, yeah, oh yeah, I can never get through that. Books, yeah, I could never do it. And it's always like a Marine or someone, you know, was willing to like risk getting shot, or was a cop and it was like, oh, I can never read it. And these are always the same people who also beat the shit out of their kids for failing in sports. It's like, what? You didn't get a touchdown? What? There's no quitting in this family. Reading? I can't handle that shit. But one of my favorite things from liking to relax and reading is if you read a lot of older material, you will see that there are older uses of a word that we don't encounter very much anymore. And unironically, for example, the island of Dr. Moreau has a great sequence towards the end where the guy he needs to escape the island of all of Dr. Moreau's monsters. He's like, I knew I needed to escape the island of beasts and return to the healthy intercourse that exists between men. Probably the last thing I'm leaving with is there's a Sherlock Holmes story where Watson is in his office and Holmes has to go out and he's, you know, goes out and he finally comes back in. And Watson is like, Holmes burst open the door and ejaculated forth the information he had achieved that day. Well, I can read from my watch that my time is up, so thank you very much, everyone.